Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our 337th weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. The way this call works is this is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, personal growth questions, investing questions, startup questions, any questions you want to. And my humble goal is to help you take your career, your net worth in the long run, etc., to the next level. Without further ado, let's begin, and thank you. Let's get off with Tony. Great to see you. Tony wrote, as a Udemy instructor, which website creator could I use to publish and sell my courses? Sales have decreased on Udemy recently. First time you wrote in 4 years. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah. So what we're finding in the marketplace right now is with AI, a lot of people are craving a sense of community, meaning human interaction. And so where I think the marketplace is going now is community driven. And so we have a community driven product as well. Let me show you very quickly what you can do. And this doesn't just apply to you, but anybody that wants to start an online business. So what we have to offer is we have our own community, and you can get a 7-day free trial. Just go to the link you see at the bottom of the screen right there. Okay. And we use a product called Circle. And so you get access to all of my courses here, okay? And you also get access to a community, okay? We have tons and tons of members here as well. And you can download this app in Android as well as in the iOS store, okay? So again, we have a 7-day free trial, and then it's an annual subscription, which is quite cheap at only, I think it's, $4.95 per year. It's a special price we have right now. It's kind of like our pre-Black Friday sale. So what I would do is, for those of you that are running online companies or want to start online companies, a sense of community and human interaction is crucial. And this goes for any company that sells anything online. I think what's happening with AI is we are becoming so detached that we are going to be craving more human interaction. So that's what I would do. Okay, and you want to engage with your users as well, kind of like I humbly do for the 337th time over the past 6 or 7 years. I hope that makes sense to you as well. You can also try other alternatives like teachable.com to sell your courses as well. But what you want to do is you always want to add as much value as you can for free to your students. Give and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. In fact, Jeff Bezos once said that customer support, okay, and profitability and cash flow are almost perfectly correlated in the very, very long run. Okay, and if you have additional questions about that, please let me know. Thank you. All right, next question. I've got Jose. How are you, Jose? Great to see you. Jose was in my first MBA degree program when I launched it last decade. It's a 500-hour program on my website. Great to see you. So, Jose, you're, I think you're from Venezuela originally, lived in New York. You had a payroll processing company, and then you and your wife and your daughter moved to Texas several years ago. Great to see you. You wrote, what do you think about Polymarket? Yeah. And the opportunities that this kind of gambling is opening in the market. Thanks. God bless y'all. God bless you much more. Yeah. So I'd be very careful with this company, Polymarket. And for those of you not familiar with it, it's like an online sports betting website, except you can bet on anything you want. You can bet that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the World Series. On their website right now, if you go to their website, it says 67% probability. You can bet on elections as well. Now, the good thing about this company is that Peter Thiel at Founders Fund is one of the big investors. Okay, so he led a round where they invested $70 million. The company's valued $8 billion right now. Intercontinental Big Exchange is going to invest soon $2 billion as well. And so you've got a great investor behind it. Now, Peter Thiel, for those of you not familiar with him, was the first notable investor in Facebook. He put $500,000 in. I've also partnered with him in the past when I worked in venture capital, when I invested in Palantir pre-IPO. I also invested in Facebook pre-IPO, but he invested much more than I did. He was also the co-founder of PayPal and was the co-CEO along with Elon Musk before Elon Musk got pushed. So the investors in that company are unbelievable. But I would be very careful. And the reason I'd be careful is because the FTC has come after them as well, right? And I think it might have been the Commodities and Future Trading Exchange came after them as well. Okay, so just be really, really careful. In fact, the CEO, Shay Copeland, he started the company in 2020, but in 2024, the FBI raided his New York City apartment. So be really, really careful with this. Now, if you're going to do investment research on any company, okay, public or private, what I always recommend that you do is you write a full business plan on it, okay, or at least an analysis. And so I provide my clients with this spreadsheet here to do qualitative, quantitative, and financial research on any companies. It is private now, so you won't find that much information on it. But let's go to their website here together. This will be fun, and I'll show you what this company does. Polymarket.com. Yeah, so it is a blockchain company. Okay. And disclosure is not that great for this company right here. And if you're going to invest in any company, public or private, in the crypto sector, I don't want more than 5% of your liquid net worth to be invested in this market, because most investments are an absolute scam. Okay. So right here, you can see my beloved Blue Jays. There's a 67% probability they're going to win. You can bet on this. Be very, very careful. Okay. In terms of my investments in cryptocurrency companies, I publicly disclosed for many, many years what I own. It's as follows. Do your own research. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, as well as Ripple. Okay. I do believe that at some point in my life, Bitcoin will be $1 million per share per coin. I don't know the path, nor do I care, but I know the destination longer term. Okay. And I can answer more questions about that if you want me to. Thanks. All right. Next up, Malcolm. Hey, Malcolm. Malcolm wrote, good to see you again. Likewise. What can I do if I want to co-own a rental property while living at home? This feels so difficult as I live in Canada. God bless you more. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So I own a lot of investment properties in Canada. Before you invest in any investment property, okay, what you need to do is you need to do a full business plan. And let me show you how to do it. And this is available exclusively on my website to my clients. So what you want to do is you want to complete this dashboard here, okay? And what will come out of this is a 1-page executive summary, as well as a 27-page business plan as well, okay? And failing to plan is plan to fail. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write a business plan on that property you want to buy, okay? And I help you to understand which property to buy and how to value using 5 different valuation methodologies, how a mortgage works, your income statement, cash flow, etc., as well as your balance sheet and real estate formulas. Okay, and what comes out of this is an executive summary. Okay, now if you want to buy an investment property for Airbnb purposes, number one, you got to make sure that in the jurisdiction where you're going to buy this place, you're allowed to Airbnb it. In fact, this room I'm in right now, it's really messy, but I'm going to show you anyway behind the scenes. This room right here, very messy, was initially rented out. There's crown molding up here. There's a secure entrance from my property here. And this helped to pay the mortgage when I moved in here more than a decade ago. And so if you want to buy an investment place, what you want to do is you want to search all LinkedIn, or pardon me, all Airbnb addresses close to the house and see what you can rent it out for. And make sure that rental price is higher than your monthly mortgage, of course. You also want to outsource to a property manager all the management of the property in terms of who's going to rent it, expenses, etc. Otherwise, it'll take over your life. And that will cost you about 10% per year in terms of lost rent. But you'll make sure that the vacancy rate is very, very low. Now, the great thing about investing in real estate, and the richest people in North America do so, the great thing is that you pay a lot less in taxes. And so back in 2016, during the first televised debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, Hillary said, hey, Mr. Trump, it's not fair you're not paying taxes. And Trump was very transparent. He said, well, I don't pay much in taxes because I own real estate and I get to depreciate. Now, the way it works is if you own real estate that you rent out, okay, you pay a lot less in taxes because you get to depreciate, which is a non-cash expense. You get to depreciate the stuff above the land. Okay, over 28 or 29 years or so, depending on what country you're in. And that means you're going to pay less taxes. Also, if you have interest payments to make, okay, that is 100% tax deductible as well, okay, for your rental properties. I don't care what country you're in, it works everywhere. So you're going to be paying a lot less taxes as well. The richest people own a lot of real estate. And Bill Gates, I think, might be the largest landowner in the United States right now. He's buying a lot of farmland. And the reason they do this is to pay less in taxes. It's my dream that my clients make more money in 10 to 15 years from now from the real estate investment properties than they do from their primary salary. My grandfather, God bless him, he's up there in heaven with my sister Katie. I missed you guys so much, Katie. It was your birthday a couple days ago. It makes me sad. But my grandfather used to always say, Chrissy, buy land, they're not making it anymore. All right, next question I've got is Peter. Hey, Peter wrote, I'm seeing in the news that there's growing concern about Trump's health issues. Leaving aside whether they're right, how do you think markets would respond to a sudden change of the president? Yeah. So Trump was just at Walter Reed Hospital, and they said that his MRI was perfect. I'm not worried about health concerns in the near term for him. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. I think he's in decent shape. Love him or hate him, I think he's in relatively good shape. Now, if Trump were to no longer be president, J.D. Vance would take over, and then the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, would. Now, if we look at J.D. Vance, and I didn't vote in the last election, but if we look at J.D. Vance, he does have enough experience. He was a senator from Ohio, okay? And for those of you outside the United States, there's 100 senators in the country, 2 for each state. And usually whoever wins Ohio, wins the entire country, okay? I think he's got a decent amount of experience, obviously not as much as Trump, but I think the equity markets would definitely pull back materially if Trump were to step aside for whatever reason. And the reason I say that is from a consumer confidence perspective, according to polls, okay, people have confidence in Trump from an economic and market perspective, okay? Now, Trump, love him or hate him, he can get a deal done. And usually when two people negotiate, party A says, I want this, party B says, I want this. With Trump, he says, I want this, and they end up meeting kind of over here. Yeah. And so I've learned with Trump when it comes to investing, etc. Don't focus on what he says, okay? Focus on what he does. And he is a master negotiator, love him or hate him. Okay. All right. And although it pains me as a very proud Canadian, I have dual citizenship, it pains me to see all these tariff issues with the United States and Canada and other countries. We don't know what the economic fallout's going to be. We might look back 20 years from now and say it was brilliant because it was a negotiation tactic. And I'm sure I'm going to get questions about Trump's recent conversations with China. Okay. I can go there if you want me to. All right, next question I've got is, again, from Peter, who wrote, oh, yeah, so do you think Trump and Xi Jinping, here we go, have done enough in their recent meetings to allay market fears, which had led to a spike in gold, or do you think gold prices might recover shortly? Yeah, let me talk quickly about gold. Okay, so you never, ever, 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 ever want to invest in a commodity when it's at an all-time high. And I've said this over the past couple months or so with gold. Okay, so gold is still up 49% year to date. It peaked on October 20th. It's down, I think, about 10% since then. I don't know the path for gold, but I know the destination. Okay, I'm very bullish on gold longer term. I don't care what it does this year or next year. I'm a very, very long-term investor. Okay, and one of the reasons I'm very bullish on gold in the long run is because I think that the Chinese government and other large economies are going to buy fewer U.S. treasuries, meaning U.S. dollars indirectly, and they're going to invest more so in commodity X. Well, what is commodity X? What is the alternative to investing in U.S. debt? The safest thing is this. So I'm really bullish on this, just like I am Bitcoin in the long run, which is like digital gold is as well. Yeah. All right. In terms of what they decided, so what's happening is China is going to resume buying soybeans, and China is also going to pause rare earth export restrictions. We're not out of the woods yet, okay? But it's a positive signal that we're getting closer. Now, the Chinese are always great at negotiating. They say that Chinese capitalists are the best communists. And one thing to respect about the Chinese government is they're very, very long-term focused. They make 100-year decisions. And as Warren Buffett has always said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. Yeah. But I feel optimistic about the future of global trade. I don't think things are going to be as bad as we think they're going to be. Okay. And don't pay attention to the naysayers on TV. Okay. They're just trying to get your attention because they're losing market share to AI, YouTube, etc. Right. And so you'll watch, shows like MSNBC, or CNBC, and they'll say something like, find out why the world is going to end after this commercial break. Always do your own research. Don't rely on me or anybody else when it comes to your investment decisions, and be long-term focused as well. All right, please continue to type your questions. All right, next up, Shahrzad, how are you? Shahrzad wrote, hello from Stockholm, Sweden. Shahrzad's actually in my online community program as well, which is right here. If I click members, you'll see her in there. Thank you so much for all your questions about investment management, private equity, etc. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you here as well as on our weekly Zoom call for my members here. And that will occur at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's every single week. If anybody wants to join my community, again, I've got a special on right now. See the link in the description below, all lowercase, harounmba.com/community. You get access to all my courses, my community, and much, much more. I love my students. All right. Next question. Peter wrote, I would love to hear your take on corporate cults and MLM schemes, which means multi-level marketing schemes, like Amway, Herbalife, etc. I knew a few people who got sucked into those things. Yeah. So I'd be careful. According to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, 99% of people that get involved with these affiliate type programs like Amway, etc., end up losing money. And it got so egregious that what happened was in 2016, the FTC sued Herbalife for deceptive marketing practices. They sued them and fined them $200 million. Okay, I want you to be careful with this stuff. Now, multi-level marketing basically means a pyramid scheme, right? And in 1979, I believe it was, United States government came after Amway and decided they were not a pyramid scheme. Do your research first. Find out how much money other people have made using these programs. Now, MLM is not a new thing. It's been around forever, but a lot of people use affiliate programs as well online to sell their stuff, whether it's over YouTube to Amazon, etc. Do your research first, please. All right. Next up, Merck. Oh, hey, how are you? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Wrote, good morning, Chris. I'm thrilled to attend this session. Likewise, thank you. You wrote, I'm enjoying the MBA program. Thank you. You wrote, thank you so much for inspiring all of us. For some of us, this is a lifeline. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. I love what I do. Yeah. And the way you know that you love what you do is if I tell you for the next 30 days, you can't travel, you can't go to work, can't go to school. What do you do with your time? That is your calling. That is your purpose. That is your passion. That is your raison d'être. And let me humbly help you get there. Let me help you change careers. Yeah. Anybody. Thanks. I love this. Yeah. All right. All right. Moving on to, hey, Sanjay, how are you? Sanjay wrote, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. Just a quick question. Is it me or is Palantir overvalued? Revenue $3.5 billion and a $420 billion market cap. Isn't that too much? I know the government deals are good. Yeah, it's over. Yeah. According to your numbers, over 100 times revenue. Yeah. Yes, it is overvalued. Okay, now I invested in Palantir pre-IPO when I worked in venture capital. I'm no longer a shareholder. But the problem is right now, people are starved for AI investments. And there's really not that many investable companies in AI right now. You got Nvidia, which has a market cap over $5 trillion. And now you got Palantir, which is close to $500 billion as well. So it's all relative. There's just nothing else out there. Now, in order for you to decide if Palantir is overvalued or undervalued, what you really need to do is this. And what I'm about to show you is what professional hedge fund managers do in order to analyze and assess if a company is overvalued. I'll make this quick. So what you're going to do is you're going to use my 100-step investment research dashboard, okay? And you're going to answer all the questions I provide you here on Palantir, okay? And then you'll export it into a one-page write-up and a detailed write-up. This is just dummy data right here. But what you need to do is you need to forecast your financial statements and figure out what your earnings estimates are going to be in 5 years, okay? And the reason you look out 5 years is because smart money does not value companies based on earnings or revenue multiples today. So what you're going to do is this, okay? When you're forecasting financial models, it's a lot easier than you think, right? You're going to spend a lot of your time forecasting the income statement. You're going to get rid of non-cash stuff like depreciation, stock options, etc., and just figure out what the cash earnings are. So you're going to spend most of your time, let me put this aside for now. you're going to spend most of your time focused on revenue. Okay, you're going to forecast what you think revenue is going to be 5 or 10 years from now. Okay, then once you forecast what you think revenue is going to be, and I can talk about how to do that in more detail if you'd like me to. Once you forecast this, then the valuation process is simple. Because for the most part, these red line items, okay, most of them, are just a percent of revenue. So you're going to look at historical patterns and model it going forward. Then you're going to get net income, okay? Then, once you forecast net income, you want to look at what your net income estimate is in 5 years, divided by the number of shares. That's earnings per share. So what should Palantir and other companies be valued at in 5 years? Well, what you want to do is look at the earnings growth rate between year 4 and 5. Let me explain. So the S&P 500 has a historical, very rough PE of 15 times. And the S&P 500, very roughly, has historical earnings growth of 15%. So you take price earnings of 15 divided by the growth rate of 15, that's 1. So if a company in the S&P 500 has earnings growing at 20%, it'll probably trade at 20 times. If a company in the S&P has earnings growth at 10%, it'll probably trade at 10 times. So what you do is you look between year 4 and 5 in your forecast to see what the earnings growth rate is. So if the earnings growth rate between year 4 and 5, meaning earnings per share, is 20%, then that means that in 5 years, that company should trade at 20 times earnings. Okay, that earnings estimate in 5 years. So if the earnings growth rate between year 4 and 5 is 20%, and in year 5 you have $1 in earnings per share, then in 5 years that company should trade at 20 times $1, meaning 20 bucks. Yeah, and there's other ways to value as well, including price to revenue at DCF, and I can go there if you want me to. Thanks. All right. Next question is, how would you describe investing in Bitcoin and cryptos to somebody like me who doesn't fully understand it all? Yeah. So Bitcoin is basically digital gold. Okay, that's the best way to understand it. And Bitcoin is virtual. Okay, and the way it works is people mine Bitcoin. What does that mean? Okay, so when you mine a cryptocurrency, essentially what's happening is this. Okay, you're using your computer and somebody else's code, right? Or an ASIC separate device, right? Dedicated device, to try to break the security on Bitcoin. Okay, and whenever you break your arm, if you get a cast, it actually grows back a little bit stronger, your bone. It's true. And so if you try to break a security protocol by mining, okay, Bitcoin, what happens is if you find that security protocol issue, you get rewarded by getting a coin or part of a coin. It grows back stronger, okay? And the great thing about Bitcoin is there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin by the year 2140, okay? So there's a limit on supply, unlike with many other cryptocurrencies. Why are there more cryptocurrencies now than there are fiat-based currency, meaning paper-based currency? Because it's a gold rush, which means there's a lot of crap out there. 95% of all cryptocurrencies or higher are an absolute scam. Okay, so just be really, really careful with this. Even Jamie Dimon, who I think is the smartest banking CEO on the planet, he's going to retire soon. I'll miss him. You know, they do a lot of cryptocurrency underwriting, etc. at JP Morgan. But even he has said he thinks that Bitcoin is a scam. And the reason I never want you to have more than 5% of your liquid portfolio in cryptocurrencies is because it's not regulated by the SEC or any financial services body for the most part. So before you invest in a stock, you can read the filings. I have here it is here. You can read the SEC filings. So for example, before I invested in Facebook, etc., at least when it was public, I read the S1 document, which you can get at sec.gov. There is no S1 document or Securities and Exchange Oversight to create documents like this for cryptocurrencies. All you're doing is you're reading a white paper, which is a 15-page PDF, which is quite cryptic, right? That's why I want you to have less than 5% of your liquid net worth in these things. Now, if the SEC ever forces cryptocurrency companies to mandate that investment bankers and lawyers create these things, then I become much more bullish on them. Yeah, so just be careful. All right. Okay, next up, give me 1 second. Ooh, a lot of questions. All right, hold on a second. All right, We move on to, and I read every question, every comment out loud as I see them here. Okay, next question. Hey, Sanjay wrote, as a hedge fund analyst and portfolio management, you tell me how many financial modeling you did in a month, or generally people do in a month and a year. Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works at hedge funds is you have a portfolio manager, and then you have a bunch of analysts that report to them. And these analysts cover specific sectors like software, internet, telco, industrials, commodities, healthcare, retail. And the best analysts usually cover about 30 companies each in the larger hedge funds. Okay, if they cover more than 30, they're diluting themselves, and they won't be as productive. And so in each year, you'll create at least 30 models. Okay, and when companies go public, there's new offerings, etc. You might actually create an additional couple of models per year, but you want to focus mainly on 30 stocks and know them better than anybody. Yeah. And so how many models have I made? A ridiculous number, because I've covered every sector there is to cover. When I was an analyst as well as portfolio manager, I've been investing since the 90s. Yeah. Okay. All right. And for those of you that are interested, I have a program now where I train you how to be an analyst at a hedge fund. If you're interested, and I treat it like you're an analyst on the portfolio manager. Okay, we do daily morning meetings. If you're interested, email support@harounventures.com. Thanks. All right, next question I've got here is Manas. Good morning. How are you? Manas wrote, Nvidia took a chunk of Nokia. What are your thoughts? Is the former too big to fail right now? I didn't see that news flow. A chunk of Nokia. Interesting. They're trying to get more so into the mobile market. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, please. I have not seen that news. I know that Nvidia is now a $5 trillion market cap company. Yeah. It's a big percent of my portfolio now, and I've got the issue of it's getting a bit too big. I might have to start trimming it. Yeah. Okay. Next question is Nvidia. If it would be a country, it'd be the third largest in terms of economy. How cool and sustainable is this? It's not really too sustainable at this point. The issue is, as I mentioned earlier, there's really not that many investable AI companies at this point. And yes, we are in a bubble. Yeah. And this bubble will burst, I promise you. I don't know when. When I used to work in the hedge fund industry, I remember back, I think it was 2006, when I worked for Art Sandberg at a great hedge fund called Pequot, which is one of the biggest tech hedge funds on the planet. We were pitching to him shorts. And the thesis, they were home building shorts at the time, Lennar, Tigger, LEN, and KBH. The thesis was, we're in a bubble. And he stopped us. And he said, son, nice guy, God bless him. He said, son, I've been around long enough to understand that you never stand in the way of insanity. Markets peak, markets trough, you can never time it. And that's why I want you to be very, very long-term focused when you invest. Yeah. Now, back in April, I had a lot of clients that wanted to panic and sell everything because the markets were crashing and the VIX reached about 65, which was close to a buy signal. And I said, dude, don't focus on the path, focus on the destination. Be very long-term focused. And that's why earlier I mentioned that when you're creating financial models, I want you to forecast out 5 years, net income in 5 years, and value your companies based on earnings per share in 5 years. The longer the view, the wiser the intention, according to Mr. Buffett. Okay. During your time as a hedge fund manager, who is your broker? Was reading recently that they harass people with less AUM, less assets under management. Yeah. So I dealt with all the prime brokers. I dealt a lot with Goldman Sachs, as well as with Morgan Stanley, BTIG, etc. Yeah. And I never had any issues. They're always great. Yeah. But you never want to deal with just one prime broker. You want to deal with multiple ones because a competition is a good thing for the consumer. Yeah. Consumer being the hedge fund. Okay, next question is AMD versus Nvidia, 10 years time. Yeah, you're gonna have to create your own financial model. Yeah, I don't give investment advice. Yeah, but I think that all ships rise. Yeah. And whenever you invest in a company, you know, in addition to the 100 steps of investing I provide you with, and Manas, you're in my MBA program, so go to EMS 42, that's Economics Management and Strategy, semester 4, class number 2, for that 100 steps template. Whenever you invest in a company, I want you to do this, okay? I want you to ask yourself this. In 5 years, Is this company going to be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? Meaning, is the sector going to be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? I think in 5 years, AI is going to be much more relevant than it is today. Yeah. AI is going to change everything. It is terrifying, man. I have a lot of clients that work as developers right now, and they're dying to get out of the developer role and move into a sales role. Sales roles, I think, are safe. Okay, direct sales. Indirect, a little bit less so. I'm sure you all saw the news yesterday. Amazon is letting 14,000 employees go, and probably another 16,000 employees very soon, partially because of AI. Okay, and a lot of other companies are following suit. Okay, yeah. We live in an interesting time. Next question is, what makes a good investor? Yeah, somebody that's very, very long-term focused, somebody that is unemotional, and somebody that does their own research. And so when Warren Buffett buys a stock, when he bought Coca-Cola back around 1990, which he still owns today, he always tells himself this: I'm assuming the market's going to be closed for 10 years, and I can't sell this. You need to be a long-term investor. Yeah. Okay. If you were 22 again and had to move out, how would you do so without making your parents mad? Whoa, interesting. I mean, we have to understand that this is our life. And tell your parents that your happiness comes down to being independent. And I'm sure they'll respect you for that. Yeah. That's a tough one to answer, though. Yeah. Okay. And then next up, how do you keep your short-term goals separate from long-term goals facing issues here? Yeah. So what I recommend doing, and you can always go to the second section of the MBA curriculum you're already in. Go to it's called Personal Growth Semester 1, Class 1. You need to download this. Okay, it's a daily scheduling system. Okay, and this works. And the way it works is every night before you go to bed, you're going to make tomorrow's schedule today. And what you're going to do is at the top, you're going to document your long-term goals and in brackets, deadline dates. And you're going to document everything you're going to accomplish tomorrow, okay, including exercise, investing, spending time with your parents, etc. I don't know. And at the end of each day, before you schedule the next day, you're going to score yourself out of 100. It's very subjective, okay? And I learned this process from Tony Robbins as well as Elon Musk. In fact, the reason I do what I do is because about 10 years ago, I was introducing Tony Robbins to one of my portfolio companies, and he convinced me to do this. And Tony said that if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. He also said that 95% or so of people give up their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January because they don't set a deadline date. You got to do daily planning and set deadline dates. Lastly, Elon Musk said if you set a goal of 3 years, you'll get it done in 3 years. If you set a goal of 3 months, you'll get it done in 3 months. Document, write down your goals, vocalize them, tell your friends and family about them as well, so that they'll put pressure on you in a nice way in terms of asking you, how's your goal doing? So for me, for years, I was writing a book, and I told my family about it. During Thanksgiving back in 2013, 14, etc. My parents would always say, how's your book coming along, right? I vocalized that goal. I finally got it done. Yeah, and I have a book template for all of you as well. What I recommend you all do, and I help you do this in my program as well, is I want you to write one article every single week on LinkedIn and then put together those articles in a book, okay, after a year or two. Then bring this book with you to your informational meetings with employers, potential clients, etc. This will work. It'll do wonders for your career. It's free to do as well. I can give you this template today, right now. If you guys want me to, just let me know, okay? And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but Chris, that's a lot of work. Well, I retort with, how badly do you want that job or that customer? All right, moving on to, I heard the PlayStation 6 might be releasing sooner than GTA 6. Yeah, when GTA 6 comes out next May, you're not going to see me for a month, guys. Yeah. And there's a new handheld held apparently, according to people familiar with the matter, PlayStation as well, that is way, way better than the Switch too. And I do case study on Nintendo in my program, so I have this here. I was doing some ML. I don't know what ML means, and found that newly public companies like Coin and Hood, I guess Coinbase and Robinhood, first have a bit negative PE And then in quarter over quarter, that moves up from negative to positive and stock explodes. Why and how? Yeah. So a lot of times when companies go public, they're not profitable, especially tech stocks, right? Like Robinhood as well as Coinbase, etc. They're not profitable, and they shouldn't be. And the reason they shouldn't be is because of this. They're growth stocks, okay? And these stocks, they could be profitable right away if they got rid of R&D. They can be profitable right away if they got rid of all sales and marketing. But they wouldn't have very much left, right? And so sophisticated investors in these growth stocks, these tech stocks, they don't give a damn about earnings this year. They care about earnings in 5 or 10 years. Yeah. Okay, next question. Peter wrote, how badly would not funding food stamps in a government shutdown and the resulting lower spending harm the local U.S. industry and the U.S. economy, or would you see it as an opportunity for change? I think it'd be absolutely devastating. Absolutely devastating. Yeah. And people are worried about government shutdown. It's a bipartisan thing. You know, Democrats are fighting with Republicans, etc. But eventually they get a deal done. Yeah, it's just a little bit more egregious right now because Trump is a little bit more extreme when it comes to negotiating. And again, I did not vote in the last election. Yeah. Can you please explain to me like a child? Sure, one child to another. How EV will be relevant after Trump if he ever leaves, as Tesla lost 18% of revenue from Europe year over year. Yeah, so Tesla's got a couple issues going for them right now. One of the issues was, at least last July, when Musk kind of focused mainly on the Trump campaign, he took his eye off the ball. And whenever a founder or a CEO of a company has a pet project, the stock suffers. The same thing happened with Musk when he was focused on Twitter. Tesla got decimated. When I used to work in the hedge fund industry, sometimes when I was coming up with short ideas, one of the criteria I would look for is a CEO who is no longer focused on the business. Like when they buy a sports team, short the stock, after you do your research, of course. Okay. Now, when it comes to Tesla, though, there's other issues as well. The biggest issue, I think, with Tesla is BYD. Now, a lot of Americans don't know much about BYD. It's an electronic vehicle company out of China. Their cars are twice as good as Tesla's at half the price. You don't see them in the US, though, because of import restrictions. And BYD cars are everywhere in Europe now. Yeah. It's a big competitive issue for them. Next question is, has Elon destroyed Tesla's reputation in the global markets because of the rise of BYD in the coming decades? It's been hurt, but I still think Tesla will be a force to be reckoned with in the long run. Yeah. If Tesla gets absolutely decimated and the RSI is 20 and you've done your investment research on the stock, it could be a great buying opportunity. Yeah. Always invest in good managers first and then the company second. And I've got a lot of faith in Elon. I think he's brilliant. Okay, Jose wrote, go Blue Jays. Yes, amen, amen. Yeah, and I want to thank Kendall, one of my clients in Texas, for sending me this autographed hat from one of the Blue Jays players, Isaiah kind of. Yeah. Moving on to Sanjay, who wrote, how much has Trump reduced the debt, or what has he done? When will it be reflected? Yes, a lot of expenses have been cut through the Doge program, etc. Okay, but unfortunately, with the most recent budget, we have not seen a cut in the debt at all. Yeah, it's probably something we won't see this year, but maybe longer term once tariffs kick in, if they ever do. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, Soros, on the side, George Soros, according to you, is a nice guy. On their side, Elon is against Soros. Just curious to get your opinion. Yeah. So George Soros is a Democrat. Elon Musk is a Republican, but extreme Democrat, extreme Republican, right? And so it's just a difference in ideology. Yeah. Moving on to Jose, who wrote, Chris, how can I add to the community? Is it part of the very first MBA access? Yeah, if you want, what you can do, Jose, if you're interested in joining the community, is go to the link you see in the description of this video to learn more. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Would love to have you join. Okay. Sanjay wrote, may I say something honestly? What if I have 30 days, as you say, all someone wants to do is just sit or lie on the bed, and I look at the ceiling? What's the thing for such people? Yeah. So my question earlier was, if you're not passionate about doing what you're doing, then answer this question. For the next 30 days, you can't travel, you can't work, can't go to school. What will you do with your time? Okay. You'll certainly not just lie in the bed and look at the ceiling. There's got to be something you're passionate about. So tell me, share with me in the chat. You guys can all do it if you want, and I'll help you to reinvent yourself to start over. Yeah. And the average life expectancy today is 26 years longer than it was in the 1950s. So you're all 26 years younger than you think. We can all reinvent ourselves. Yeah. I've been trying AI sales call bots that can do the first approach and auto transfer to a closer. Have you seen any technology or service that can do that without connecting many apps on the back end? Yeah, absolutely. You can create custom GPTs, which is what we do for our setters, which is part of our sales process. Yeah. And Jose, you can ask me today at 10 a.m. On our weekly Zoom call as well. Yeah, thanks. And I'll show you more details how we do it. Yeah. And my brilliant CMO, Cassandra Cox, is taking care of that. She's genius. Okay. And Peter wrote, the problem I'm having is the thing I'm most passionate about is studying. I love lifelong learning. So I've collected a lot of sort of related certificates, but you just end up looking severely overqualified. Yeah. I recommend teaching. When one teaches, two learn. Whatever your passion is, teach about it online. And let me humbly help you do that. Because again, I've made every mistake there is in the book when it comes to teaching, starting a company, etc. But I believe that teaching, like when I grew up, my dad and most parents want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, sometimes engineer. They don't say teacher. And one of the reasons why parents want you to be a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer is because you make money. But teaching is much better than being a doctor or a lawyer, and I'll explain why. If you're a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer, you can only have one client at a time. It's not scalable. When you're a teacher, you can have millions. I have over 2 million paying students in every single country. You can have millions of clients at the exact same time, make money while you sleep. Yeah. All right. All right. Manas wrote, how do you remove confusion in life when you're young and new and it feels like you have 5 different ways to go and that overwhelms me? Any suggestions? Yeah. So as we talked about in our previous Zoom calls, I want you to focus on that one course you're currently making. Okay. One thing at a time. And you're going to make a daily schedule every day. Okay. Go to PG1-1 for more details and where to download this from. That's Personal Growth Semester 1, class number 1. Yeah. And if you're confused in terms of, what your career should be, and this goes to everybody in this call, just set up a lot of informational meetings with people that work in those industries that you might be curious about and ask them about a day in the life to see if you want to do that. And I remember when I was a lot younger, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, right? I saw movies like A Few Good Men. I read every John Grisham book, etc. And then I started doing informational meetings with lawyers, right? To find out what a day in the life was like. And I came to the conclusion, I was really confused. I was like, are you a jerk before you go to law school? Or is that something they teach you in law school? Yeah, just do informational meetings. Okay, Chris, what do you think about Palantir valuation and its forecast value in the future? Is it a good investment in the long run? I mean, there are other competitors in the field, so my concern is the future. Yeah, what you want to do is you want to create a financial model using the 100-step template. You're in my MBA program. Go to EMS42, Economics Management and Strategy, Semester 4, Class 2, and download that 100-page template. And what you can also do when you guys are doing investment research on companies is you can do forensic financial statement analysis using AI. And I have a course for that as well, which you have access to. And in your program, go to the very last section of your Platinum curriculum back from 2019, and you'll find this course there as well, which help you do deep due diligence on the forensic financial statement analysis stuff. Yeah. Okay. Next question is this. If AI is in a bubble, it is, then everybody's investing in the other AI companies just feels a bit like a bubble and awkward, publicly They are trying to outperform and still investing in each other, question mark. Yeah. 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 It is a bubble. There's no doubt about that. It's the latest new shiny toy. Bubbles burst. We just don't know when, right? It's just human nature, right? If you go back to the 1600s in Holland, there was a tulip bubble where the price of tulips went up thousands and thousands of %, right? And that bubble burst eventually. Yeah. That's why you got to be a long-term investor. Please invest in AI companies. I've seen remote villages and people with less computing or mobile phone exposures. They're using AI to learn about things, including farmers, for farming. I'm incredibly bullish about the outlook for mobile computing. So what I do with my business, I'll show you here. Okay, the reason I do what I do is I'm building 1,000 schools in Africa. Okay, so currently I'm working on my second school. Just a second. And I know if I was a quota-carrying sales rep, I'd be fired, okay? I'm currently building a school in Kenya. In terms of my board, the former CEO of Udemy, Greg Brown, is on my board. And the former CMO of Genefa, she just resigned, sent an email out to everybody. She's the best. Is on my board. The head of L&D at Marvell as well. I finished a school a couple of years ago in Rwanda. Here it is right here. I paid for all of it. IBM, Microsoft donated the computers. Again, I'm building 1,000 of these bad boys as well. I had so much fun doing this. I brought my son as well. There he is right there walking with me. There's my son on the left there as well. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world. I really believe it. And as Malala said, with guns, you can kill terrorists, but with education, you can kill terrorism. I believe every problem in the world gets solved with education. That's why I do what I do. And I'm going to die broke as well. I'm going to give it all away. If you chase money, you lose your dreams. If you chase your dreams, you don't care what people think about you. Good things happen. Your dreams come true. And the money follows accidentally. It always does. No matter what anybody tells you. Just don't give up. Because you only have to be right in business one time. All right, next question is, if a better version of the PSP, PlayStation Portable, releases a potential and strong contender for the Switch 2, I don't know how Petra will react. Petra is one of my premium students that works in Germany for Nintendo. She was here at my house with her mom actually a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Ray. Ray wrote, founder-led can mean different things. Founder's still the CEO, or the founder still holds voting board power. What do you usually want? Yeah, great question. I want the founder still running the company. I want the founder involved in day-to-day operations. Okay, so it worries me that Jeff Bezos is no longer the CEO of Amazon. You know, it worried me when Steve Jobs, God bless him, left Apple, because innovation dies. What has Apple done since Tim Cook took over? He's a brilliant man. He was the COO, and nobody's better than him on the planet when it comes to operations. But he's done nothing innovative. Innovation dies when the founder leaves the company or is no longer CEO involved in daily operations. Can't talk today, sorry. But if you look at what Tim Cook has done, he's made a bigger version of this, a smaller version of this, a bigger iPad, smaller iPad, the Vision Pro, which is a loser product. He's done nothing. Nothing. Innovation dies when a founder leaves. I don't invest in companies when the founder is no longer running the company. It's just who I am. Invest in people, not companies. Some ETFs track the spot futures price of copper, like the Wisdom Tree Copper, and other ETFs track companies involved in exploration of copper. If we want to invest in copper, which one is better? Yeah, I'd say the underlying commodity. That's it. I'd rather invest in ticker GLD, not now because it's only 10% away from an all-time high. I'd rather invest in this than I would in ABX, meaning Barrick Gold. Yeah. This is plastic. It's fake, just like this fake teacher. Because those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach gym class. And you know that's true about gym teachers. I'm just kidding. I love teachers. Except the ones that taught me. I'm not going to go there. All right. Next question is, are you saying that if a company doesn't grow with at least 15% annually that we shouldn't bother with it at all? Do you mean revenue or profit? I mean earnings. Yeah. So if you do investment research on a stock and you only see 15% upside in a year, you're wasting your time. Just buy ticker VOO after you do your research. Just invest in the S&P. So when you do investment research on stocks, what I recommend doing is this. I want you to identify, based on your research, 5x5s. What does that mean? That means stocks with a 500% upside within 5 years. That's what I do. Am I often wrong? I'm almost always wrong. But if the stock only goes up a couple 100%, I'm happy. Yeah. And that means that for the most part, you got to start investing in companies that are smaller and mid cap. You start looking at the Russell 2000 index if you want. If I invest in a regular European ETF for the S&P 500, ticker TER, it's 0.07. I guess that means fees, right? If it's hedged, then TER is 0.2%. What would be your decision? Hedged, 100%, or none at all, or half? I would just buy the most reputable ETF with the cheapest fees and the highest liquidity. So for me, do your research. When it comes to the S&P 500, it's Vanguard all the way, ticker VOO. Because the fees are 0.03%, what does that mean? That means you pay 3 pennies per $100 you invest every year, which is nothing. If you invest in a mutual fund, you're paying 300 to 500 pennies per year in fees. That's right. Yeah, mutual funds are a scam. Don't touch them. Would you share your principles in raising teenagers regarding school discipline screens? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a couple things. What I did with my son, my son Andrew, this is interesting actually. Where's my picture of my kids? Here it is here. So with my son Andrew and my three boys, every day, once they could learn to read, what I would do is I make them get up early and read. Okay, if they read in the first hour when they're awake, it's 30 minutes. If they don't read in the first hour when they're awake, it's like 45 minutes or an hour. So they get it out of the way right away, and they pick the book. And so my son Andrew is a cool story. What he did was one of the books he read was from his hero, his idol. He was born in New York City when I used to live there. His hero is Derek Jeter. Okay. And so Derek Jeter was a great baseball player for the New York Yankees. And so the book he read from Derek Jeter was called The Goal. And one of the reasons that Derek Jeter is so successful, okay, in all aspects of his life actually, is because from the age of 9 years old, his parents made him do this. They made him put a list of his goals on his wall. Okay? Write down your goals. Write down your goals. Write down your goals. And the class of 1950 at Yale University, they were asked, how many of you wrote down your goals? 3% did. Then 20 years later, they went back to that same class. And they calculated that the net worth of the 3% that wrote down their goals was greater than the other 97% of people that did not write down their goals. You got to set goals. Goal setting, and you put it on the wall. When I go to my son, so he just got a job in investment banking at a top firm. He's his last year now at Berkeley. When I go to visit him on campus, or actually he's off campus now, he's got an apartment. On his wall, I still see goals. I want all of you to write down your goals as well. And what I do is for my clients, I do an annual event. It's called U 2.0 Personal Growth Workshop. And it's all about writing down your goals. And it all feeds into this daily one-pager as well. All right, let me move on to the next question. And with teenagers, let me go there. Remember when we were younger and you had that buddy that maybe got involved in some bad stuff. And you brought your friend home and your parents said, I don't want you hanging out with that person because they do drugs. And you're like, Mom, Dad, they don't. What are you talking about? They do. If you sense that with one of your kids, right away, have him or her fire that friend. Now, what I did in my garage, I put up a gym, and I taught my kids from a young age that the body is a temple. Get them into exercise. An idle mind does this stuff. And what kills me about the United States now is that this stuff is legal. It should not be, except maybe for medicinal purposes. Stay on top of them. If you suspect they're into that stuff, start drug testing them. And you can go to Amazon and order little kits. A lot of people do it. Because if you're a loser in high school and you're sucked into this stuff, you're a loser for life. And this leads to other shit like cocaine, fentanyl, etc. And that's why I love what Donald Trump is doing with respect to fentanyl and China. Because we all know people that have died from this crap. Yeah. So anyway, you asked about raising teenagers. That's my advice. And if you haven't had people close to you that passed away from this, it could easily happen. It's happened to me. Not with my kids, though. Okay. Next question is, I heard Apple's Vision Pro competitor by Samsung is really good, amazing for half the price. Very cool. I've not seen it yet, but I do know for a fact that Apple is releasing another version, a much smaller version very soon. How do I know? Well, you can all find out because you can go to uspto.gov, United States Patent and Trademark Office.gov, search for Apple, and you'll see the new patents. And Apple actually filed 5,000 patents for the Vision Pro 1. Yeah. That's part of doing investment research on stocks too. What are the best and worst uses of AI? I see a ton of companies cutting dev, but not salespeople. Most sales is still happening one-on-one like that. Why and what does that tell us? Yeah, it tells us that we don't trust computers. We don't trust AI when it comes to money management, when it comes to personal advice, when it comes to buying expensive stuff. You cannot trust technology. And I think the way to protect yourselves from losing your jobs because of AI is to always have direct access to clients, okay? Be that salesperson. If you're in a company and you're senior and you're about to get promoted, and if you get promoted, you're no longer going to have any clients, say, I will only take that promotion if I could still have access to clients and close deals. Because everything you do that's not focused on immediate revenue growth is a waste of time and can be outsourced to AI at some point. Yeah. Okay. All right, NATO. Hey, NATO, first time seeing you on the call. Hope you join us again. Question is, what would you recommend to somebody who is reluctant to have internet exposure and talks about himself, but has been asked by his family, coworkers, and friends to teach finance stuff? Thanks. Yeah. I would say go for it. We've already witnessed the death of privacy. You need to have a social media presence, at least on LinkedIn. You have to. You have to. It's the only way to get a job is to network over LinkedIn. The only way to get customers to network over LinkedIn. And I would start teaching. Okay. And when one teaches, two learn. And it might lead to an incredibly profitable business plan for you as well. And if you want to start teaching online, why don't you do this? Send me an email. Send an email to support@harounventures.com. Mention your name as NATO. And then I'll set up a call with you and I'll talk you through how to teach online and everything and talk about any concerns you might have about privacy, etc. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just a fact of matter that when you do this stuff, you are a bit more exposed. Like for me, I had to get the police involved in the United States and Canada with, people. I have 2 million paying customers around the world. I have cameras everywhere too. It is what it is. Yeah. Okay. In an informational meeting, if the other person asks in an in-mail reply, why do you want to meet? What should I say? Yeah. So it depends what you're asking about. Okay. So I always recommend setting up informational meetings if you want to get a job. Okay. Don't just apply. Set up informational meetings. How do you do this? Step 1, you have an amazing LinkedIn profile, which I help you with. Step 2, you do an advanced search and find people that have something in common with you. So say you want to work at Google. Okay. Do an advanced search and find people that work at Google that went to your high school and your undergraduate university. And send them an in-mail. And in the in-mail, you keep it short and sweet. Less is more. You say this: John, hope all is well. I also went to X high school, and I also went to X undergrad. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee or a Zoom call. Thanks a lot, Chris. More often than not, they're going to take the call. You don't say why you want to meet. If you say I'm looking for a job, they won't answer. But if they see that you are them 20 years ago, they're going to say yes to that meeting. So if they ask why, just say that you're curious about a role, learning more about a role in the industry and that person's career path. Try that angle. If that doesn't work, then let me know, please. Thanks. Okay. Moving on to Sanjay wrote, do you have any one book to learn about Forex and macro in much more detail? Any book like that, Chris? Would you recommend any such book about macro and Forex? There's nothing out there I know about. If you want exposure to investing in Forex and macro stuff, do not become a day trader. I recommend that you read every book written by Nassim Taleb, including Black Swan. Now, Black Swan basically means a rare event. It's very rare to see black swans unless you're in Tasmania. But the reason that markets go up and down a material amount in a short amount of time quite often is because stuff we can't forecast. 9/11, COVID, whatever. So read his books, yeah. And if you want to learn more about macro stuff, just every day read the FT, Financial Times. It's like the Wall Street Journal, but for the world. And it's much more global nature when it comes to FX stuff as well. Or you can read books. It's called The Alchemist by George Soros. But you need a dictionary. At least I did, because every second word I had to look up is complicated. Yeah. And if you want, I can teach you stuff as well. Like if you want me to, I can explain how George Soros broke the bank of Thailand, and he forced the Thai baht to go down big time. And then he made $1 billion short in the Thai baht one day. He did the same thing at the Bank of England as well, both those events in the 90s. Yeah. And there's I've made plenty of videos on it. You can search on YouTube as well. Next question I've got. Hey, Sean, how are you? Sean is one of my amazing students. He's in my program. I see him every single day, him and his wonderful wife, Michelle. I love you, brother. He's based in Portland. He's got an incredible business he runs right now, and he's also getting his PhD in Berkeley in about 6 months as well. You inspire me, brother. Sean wrote, good morning, Professor. Good morning to you. Would you rather invest in a company whose founder has an IQ of 130, but thinks it's 120? Or a founder who has an IQ of 150, but thinks it's 170? What a fascinating question. Well, the first thing when it comes to a founder is I always want to invest in somebody that can sell. And when I meet with a founder of a company I might invest in, which I've done a lot when I worked in venture capital, I want to meet with somebody who I know can get the customer, meaning me, I pretend I'm a customer, excited about what they're doing. Because the reality is their company is going to change materially if they're in the tech market within a couple of years. I want to know I can get excited by them. So I look for brilliance like a Mark Benioff, for example, who sells cloud computing, which is the most boring thing you can't see, feel, or touch. Or somebody that oozes positivity, like Sir Richard Branson. I want somebody that's all in. And on Sunday, I had dinner with Saeed Hamidi here in Hillsborough at a house party. And so for those of you not familiar with Saeed, you can search him up if you want. He was the first investor in PayPal. He invested, I think he like $100,000 in Elon Musk and Peter Thiel's company and made a killing. He's a great guy as well. But what I learned from him was this. When you're interviewing somebody to invest in, he does about 450 private investments per year. He always asks one question. And if the entrepreneur answers this question wrong, he doesn't invest. What is that question? It's this. Do you have a plan B? Now, if the entrepreneur says, yeah, I'll go back to work at IBM, or I'll go get my MBA or law degree, he doesn't invest. What he wants to hear is somebody that is all in. The best entrepreneurs are the best salespeople. Just like CEOs are salespeople, or partners in a law firm or a venture capital firm. They're salespeople. That's what they are. We want to invest in people that can sell and get you excited about the product, service, etc. Yeah. And I remember growing up in Canada back in the 1980s. I remember seeing the cover of Time in Newsweek. And there's so many stories of the American student is 50th in the world in math and 50th in the world in science, and it's the downfall of America. Bullshit. I came to the United States, and when I was working in venture capital, I taught during the evenings at a lot of Bay Area universities. And I realized something. And 50% of my students were born overseas. I realized something. That American students, regardless of where they were born, American students are the number one in the most important economic category that nobody talks about. And that's confidence. And with confidence, you could sell. And I'm not talking rah-rah born in America. Half the students are from overseas. But confidence leads to perceived competence, especially when you're selling. And that's what I look for in an entrepreneur as well. Yeah. So I guess to answer your question, I would rather invest in an entrepreneur who has an IQ of 130 but thinks it's 120 instead of somebody that has an IQ of 150 that thinks it's 170. Because I want somebody that's insecure. I want somebody that wants to prove the world wrong. I want somebody that thinks they're not good enough. And I know it sounds out there, but many years ago, I was on the board. Sequoia led the Series A in a company called Cohesity. We led the Series B, and I had a board seat there. And I got to meet with Doug Leone, who's the top guy at Sequoia. I spent an hour and a half with him one-on-one one day. And I asked him this. And by the way, for those of you not familiar with Sequoia, the top 10 venture capital firms in the world, only 1% of their portfolios are unicorns. With Sequoia, it's 5%. It's insane. They invest in Google, Amazon, all the greats. And so I asked Doug, I said, Doug, how do you guys do it? Who do you invest in? Who do you hire? And he said, and I'm not going to do this justice. I'm going to butcher what he said to me. But he said something like this. We look for people to invest in that feel that they're not good enough. Maybe there's a chip on their shoulder and they want to prove the world wrong. Like Elon Musk, for example, he was beaten up a lot as a kid. He doesn't want to sell a company and create a company just to make $1 million or even $100 million or even $1 billion. He wants to put his dents in the universe. You want to invest in people that want to change the world and perhaps had something, I don't know what it is, happened to them when they were younger that leaves them to believe they're not good enough. That's what you want. And those are the people you want to hire as well. People with an unquenchable thirst for success. So for me, and I'm nobody, what drives me? Why do I do this? Why do I work more than 80 hours a week and I never work a second on Sundays? What drives me? It's not money. I want to prove the world wrong. Who specifically? Those fucking teachers in the 6th grade and the 8th grade that wanted to fail me because they thought I had a learning disability. I was sent to a learning disability center in Oakville, Ontario, on Lakeshore Road called Chisholm to see what is wrong with me. And so I want to prove those teachers wrong. And I believe the purpose of a teacher, parent, manager should be, number one, to instill a sense of confidence in the people that are working with you or you're managing or your students. Because with confidence, you can do anything. You can change the world. You can reinvent yourself. You can get that next great job. With confidence, you can do anything. So how do you become more confident? Well, it's like the Rodin sculpture. I think, therefore I am. You are always your own biggest enemy. You need to flip that fucking switch. I care about you guys. And tell yourself, I'm good enough. I'm confident. I think, therefore I am. Sorry for swearing. Sort of. Okay. All right, next question. Manos wrote, the top 5 companies in the S&P 500 are tech, and they have market cap of $18 trillion. They've burned hundreds of billions of dollars on data centers, which actually haven't given a good return. Do you see it as a bubble? No, I see it as an incredible investment opportunity. So around COVID, 20% of the S&P 500 was tech. Now it's well over 30%. People always want to invest in the future. What has happened since COVID? Well, I think it was the fall of 2003, ChatGPT was released publicly. It's changed the world. It's going to change everything we do. So I think it's a great investment. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Yeah. Okay, next up, Omar. Great to see you. Hope you join us again. First time I've seen you. Hi, Chris. I'd like to get your thoughts on building a career as a money market dealer. I'm somewhat concerned about the long-term prospects of such a role, given the increasing impact of AI. Yeah. I think a safe career bet is anything customer-facing where you're selling or managing a relationship. Because we're going to get to a point very, very soon where we lose all trust in technology systems. I hate it when I'm talking to an AI bot. I hate it when a computer is trying to manage me. I miss talking to people, and that's why I love a sense of community. So be a salesperson, a direct salesperson, and that's how you protect yourself. Get into sales. Yeah. Because that's the last thing to go to AI. Okay, next question is, how do you normally find a growth company versus value? Yeah, a growth company is growing very, very fast and might not be profitable today, but will be in the future. A value company is really not growing revenue, much more than, say, 5 or 6%. And as a result, they're focused on cutting expenses in order to make EPS go up. Yeah. Okay, and a growth company also, you would answer yes to this question. In 5 years, is the industry it's in going to be much more relevant than it is today? Yeah. Under what conditions or circumstances would one consider going back to school again for a master's or a PhD? PhD standing for plumbing, heating, and dishwashing. Sorry, sort of. Yeah. All right. So the only reason you should consider going back to school and wasting $100,000 on a master's is if you have tried so hard to change careers. You've done 100 informational meetings and you still can't change careers. Then consider going back to school. Otherwise, it's a waste of money. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second, please. Freyhus wrote, do you hire for the project for schools like building in Africa? Yeah, I hire all the construction workers. I pay for everything myself. Yeah, yeah. In terms of who runs the schools, it's usually a town elder. Yeah. And for the school that we built in Rwanda, also the pastor from the church next door, and we put solar on the roof of the church for free, of course, kind of helps with it as well. Yeah. Okay. Would you invest in the commercial real estate at a 6 to 8% cap rate in Florida or Texas, or invest in stocks? Yeah. Oh. It all depends on, of course, 3 things: location, location, location. Yeah. And before I invest, I'd have to do a full business plan using my template I showed you earlier. Yeah. And talk to your accountant as well for tax reasons. Next question is, Trump actually pulled the tariff on fentanyl down to 10% as per yes. I saw that. Yeah. Okay, hey, E-Dash wrote, hope you're doing well. Likewise. Curious to hear your opinion on permanent life insurance. Yeah, yeah. I'm a fan. I have it. And life insurance, it's like buying a put option on a stock, right? You pay this much. If the stock goes down, you make that much. If the stock doesn't go down or goes up, all you lose is this. So anybody with kids should definitely have it. Yeah. And I'm worth more dead than alive. Yeah. And everybody needs to have a will and a trust as well. And if you want to learn more about a trust, revocable versus irrevocable trust, and why you need to have it, you can watch my most recent YouTube video I posted last week. Yeah. Okay. Alex wrote, hey, Chris, hey, bud. My university club is doing a virtual investing challenge that only lasts 130 days, and we're given $1 million to use. What strategy would you recommend? Yeah. So what I recommend doing is, I'll be very quick with this, I promise. what I want you to do is I want you to do a full investment write-up on the companies you want to invest in, okay? Now, because it's short-term focus, which I don't agree with, but it is what it is, I would probably focus on stocks also that don't have an RSI of 80, okay? And I can talk technical analysis if you want me to, as much as I despise talking technicals versus fundamentals and valuation stuff. Okay. Moss wrote, teaching is the best thing ever. I'll always be teaching thanks to you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and NATO, you're most welcome. Why does sometimes the heart put you in a dilemma? When the brain says logically it doesn't make sense, how do you think in that scenario? Yeah. You have to always quantify everything, okay? Without data, you have an opinion and nothing more. You don't have a thesis. So you need to document everything, especially the quantitative stuff. Okay, so especially when it comes to stocks or a business plan or real estate, you have to quantify all this stuff. And if you don't have data to back something up, it's not a good thesis. Yeah. And BMA wrote, what business, question mark. There's no more businesses in America anymore, just corporations, nothing for us to sell. Yeah. Yeah, I humbly disagree. Yeah. Yeah. But and let me tell you this, BMA. So how do you compete against a large company? Like when you start a company, how do you convince your customers to go with you rather than going with a big company? Well, one of the best things you can say is that unlike the competition, we offer impeccable customer support, a real person you can talk to, available 24/7. Yeah. A company is only as good as its customer service. That's the angle I would take. Yeah. Okay, next up, Bill Gates said to Satya Nadella that OpenAI would be a failure and he would end up burning $1 billion, but he was wrong, certainly as of now. Does this mean geniuses are wrong sometimes? All the time. There's a great book called When Genius Failed. And in the 1980s, all the smartest people on the planet, Nobel laureates like Myron Scholes, who created Black-Scholes option pricing, they created a company called Long-Term Capital Management. And they failed big time, to the extent that if the United States government didn't bail them out, it could have pushed us into a severe recession. And Bill Gates has been wrong many times. And I met with him a number of times as well. He's very different in person. I've had lunch with him before. He's been media trained. He's a little bit different. I can tell you how if you care. But he's been wrong many, many times. You know, he was wrong, thinking that he could beat Apple. He was wrong, and mainly Steve Ballmer, right, who's kind of a difficult guy. I think he ran Microsoft into the ground. I'm glad he's gone as a CEO. You know, Ballmer thought the iPhone was a joke. They almost missed the internet, Microsoft, until December 7th, 1995. Bill Gates sent out an internal email to all Microsoft employees declaring war on Netscape. So they've missed a lot. Yeah. But I do respect what Bill Gates is doing with respect to giving money back. All right. You're most welcome, Tony. And then Merck wrote, in Canada for KDP, that's Kindle Direct Press for Amazon, how does one get copyright for book authoring? Yeah. So what I would do is go to LegalZoom.com or LegalZoom.ca in Canada and talk to an IP lawyer there. It'll cost you a couple $100. Yeah. If you want to register it yourself in the United States, you can go to copyright.gov. And then what you do is you get your book, put it on, it's old school, but you got to put it on USB and then mail it in. It'll cost you less than $100, or do what I do, which is hire LegalZoom.com to do it for a couple $100. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Ralph wrote, hey, Chris, how much is the energy industry valued at? Yeah. You can simply go to ChatGPT and say, get me the market cap of the top 300 energy companies on the planet, right? A lot of that's going to be Saudi Aramco if you can get all the data as well. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And Freos wrote, your speech was spot on. Thank you a lot. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Okay. And then Alex said, hey, Chris, regarding the economy and the 4-year crypto Bitcoin cycle, what are your thoughts? Yeah, you're talking about the halving process, which occurs in 2012, 16, 2024. Yeah. So you got to wait another 3 years, I guess. Yeah. Do you think it's no longer relevant? No, I think the halving process still matters for Bitcoin. Usually it's a positive catalyst. In terms of economic cycles, they're still relevant. You know, they're pretty extreme. It can be 10 years, but I certainly believe in it. And there's a reason why the Federal Reserve cut interest rates again yesterday, but probably not for the rest of the year, because they see signs of weakening the economy, meaning GDP growth could slow down materially. Yeah. But don't listen to economists. There's a famous quote I'm going to butcher, which is economists have successfully predicted 47 of the past 7 recessions. Yeah. Okay, Manas wrote, will tokenization of stocks be good long term? They become cryptos and traded 24/7. As long as there's government regulation and, you know, SEC filing mandates, the extent that I can read a filing like an S1 or something. Okay, without this, it's too risky. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ralph wrote, would you invest in options this year? It all depends. And so there's only 2 cases where I recommend investing in options. I don't ever want you to underwrite or sell options, because you can get randomly assigned, meaning you can lose way more money than you actually invested. It's very dangerous. So what should you do with options? 2 things. Number 1, if you own a stock, massive position for you, and for some reason you don't want to sell it, like you have to pay a lot of taxes, and you're worried it could get murdered this year, could go down a lot, you can buy a put that's going to protect you. If the stock goes down a lot, this goes up. If the stock goes up, you're happy. This is worth nothing. And Mark Cuban did this on Yahoo when he sold his company broadcast.com for $5 billion to protect his capital. I did a vlog on that as well. You can just search for it on YouTube if you want. The other reason to buy options is you've done your investment research. Okay. You filled out my 100-step template, and you see a ton of upside in a stock in the next 5 years. Well, what you can do is you can look to buy what is called a leap, which means a call option that expires in 1, 2, or 3 years. Yeah. Okay. And then Peter wrote, it's funny how things can hinge on the smallest decisions. If Gary Kindle hadn't gone flying, IBM would never have gone to Microsoft to produce MS-DOS. That's right. I remember Bill Gates bought it for $50,000 from Digital, right? Yeah. And Microsoft would never have bailed out Apple. That's right. They put, I think, $100 million into the firm for antitrust reasons back in the late 90s. Yeah. Excellent. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's call. Please click like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to join my community for a 7-day free trial, go to this link you see right here. For those who are in my community and my premium students, I will see you later today at 10 a.m. Pacific time for our weekly 3-hour and 20-minute Zoom call. If you want to be part of my program, speak with one of my sales reps, see if it's a good fit for you, go to the link in the description of this video. Thank you all. God bless. And I'm going to end this week's call like I always do with a very short inspirational video that'll change your life. And this is an interview with Steve Jobs, I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. Thank you, everybody. God bless, and go Blue Jays.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.